Let's talk about some current events. You just mentioned John McCain, so let me just start with this. Immigration was one of those dust-ups in the Republican presidential primary. What's the solution for immigration? Where do we start? And do you feel like John McCain's compromise plan from a few months back was the wrong approach?
I thought that bill was the wrong bill. I thought amnesty was wrong, and I disagreed with Senator McCain on that. I agree with him on some other priorities. I'm glad to have him on the ticket. But when it comes to immigration, the American public has lost confidence that Congress is serious about addressing the problem. Congress promised to build a border fence along our border with Mexico, and then has refused to fund it. Paul Hodes voted against funding it. I think the first step to restoring that confidence is to build that fence along our southern border. I noticed Paul Hodes went to San Diego a couple of weeks ago. He saw the border fence along the Tijuana border, the same fence that is reducing violent crime and illegal drugs in downtown San Diego, the fence that's working. He saw the fence, and his solution when he came back to New Hampshire was to propose a virtual fence. He wants a virtual fence. I want an actual fence. We had the Department of Homeland Security this week announce that their effort to build 28 miles of virtual fence isn't working. 28 miles is going to be delayed another 3 years. So I think the virtual fence is virtually useless. Let's follow through on that promise as a first step towards illegal immigration. Then we can work to reform our visa system. We can give illegal immigrants here a way to come forward and get into the back of the line to come here legally, but not skip ahead of those who followed the rules and not give them amnesty.
In your travels around the state, no doubt you're hearing people talk about the U.S. economy. No doubt you're hearing about rising fuel prices and the expense of living in New Hampshire and basically around the country right now. Are we on track in Washington for resolving some of the economic problems that we're seeing right now? President called it a slowdown. The stimulus package, the checks are going to be in the mail sometime soon. Is this what we need to be doing, or should we do more or something different?
The stimulus package isn't bad. It's going to help some people, but they've loaded it up with pork barrel spending. We could have done a lot better. Our economy has seen several years of robust growth, but the American economic engine is slowing down under the weight of taxes, mandates, over-regulation. Even the American economy isn't stronger than Congress's appetite for spending money. And it's time we rein that in. Instead of trying to put your foot on the gas with a stimulus package, why don't you take your foot off the brake? I think the American economy will recover a lot faster once Congress stops trying to help.
Your view on taxes?
I think they're too high. I think lowering taxes releases innovation, releases entrepreneurship, allows risk-taking in the economy, and only through that sort of innovation and risk-taking do we get long-term economic growth. I think Congress spends too much money, and ultimately, the only way to lower taxes is to lower spending.
Grant, another issue that a lot of people were talking about on both sides of the political aisle for the presidential race has been health care, what to do about it. One thing that we've seen through, for example, the polling that Andy Smith did for us from the UNH Survey Center is that there is a huge difference of opinion about how to resolve the price issue, basically, for health care right now, from the Democratic side and from the Republican side. There are huge differences. How do we bring prices down, cover the uninsured, and assure quality does not suffer?
I think we get government out of the equation. I disagree with whoever the Democratic nominee for president is, whether it's Senator Clinton or Senator Obama. They want the government making more of your health care decisions and controlling more of your health care dollars. I think a lot of the reason we've seen health care prices skyrocket is because of the government mandates here. We saw the Shaheen health insurance law drive competition out of the state of New Hampshire. And I think the innovation we're seeing in the private marketplace, the minute clinics where you can come in and spend a small amount of money, you see a doctor, you actually get health care on the spot. The private sector is coming up with solutions for health care. So if we can get government out of the way, get the government bureaucrat out from between you and your doctor, we're going to get much better outcomes. And I think releasing choice into the insurance marketplace is going to go a long way. I've got car insurance, and I get a really good price for it. Now, I need my oil changed. I've put 2,000 miles on the car in the last 2 weeks since I announced for Congress, so I'm about due for an oil change. I don't expect Geico to pay the bill. I got to fill my gas tank, and it's about $3.10 a gallon. I don't expect Geico to pay that bill, yet we expect our health insurance to pay for everything we do. There's no consumer choice anymore. There's no consequence to consumers. I think there's a huge market out there for people that want their basic needs, their catastrophic needs, and their prescription drugs filled, But for routine medical care, anticipated medical costs, paying that out of pocket brings your health care premiums way down. Get government out of the way, let the marketplace take care of it, and you're going to see prices drop.
Let me ask you one last question. Conventional wisdom, shatter this for me. Democratic momentum from coast to coast right now. Second CD, we've always argued that it seems to be a lot more friendly to Democrats than it would be for Republicans. You're fighting a first-term Democratic incumbent. It seems like the odds are stacked against you.
Well, the odds are always against you when you're a newcomer to politics, but the 2nd District is a classic swing district. It's a very independent district. What happened in 2006 was a high-tide year for Democrats because Republicans didn't show up. Paul Hodes received fewer votes winning in 2006 than he did losing in 2004. The problem was that half of Charlie Bass's voters didn't show up at the polls in 2006. We need to get Republican voters energized again. They were sick of the Republican Congress in Washington. It had lost its way, and they had better things to do on a cold morning in November. I'm going to give them a reason to show up in November and support the Republican ticket.
Grant Bosse for Congress, good luck to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, when we return, Bob Clegg joins us for his ideas for the future.